So I've got a few ideas that I am using a gift to November as a prompt to get on with, and I think I want to share them with you because they're all quick, easy, using stuff that's already in my sewing room. So I'm going to share them with you. Now the first thing I'm going to share you is just a quick and simple little squidgy heart. I think this is such a super little gift to go in a stocking. It's nice to kind of sit on the handle of a wardrobe. You can put it on the tree, but I used these lovely ballerina little bit of fabric because I think it's rather fitting for a particular little girl that I know. And I have made these before, and I put 3 on I strung a piece of glittery thread through them, and I put initials on the front, and they made a really lovely little Christmas decoration that hung off the window frame, and they just bounce around and look really cute. So you can make them single, or you can kind of link them together. You could string a load of them together and put a little peg on them. It's just a simple little thing to make with a scrap of fabric. I literally just used a bit of card, made a half heart, cut the fabric on the fold, cut 2 of them, sewed them together, left a gap and stuffed it, and that is that. And made sure that on this one I put a little loop through when I was sewing them together on the inside before I turned them out, and that's just a really absolute quick and easy thing to do. I was thinking that actually something like this would be really nice to fill with wheat or rice. So it could be nice little hand warmers, little heart-shaped hand warmers. You can make them a bit smaller and they could sit in your pocket rather than a standard square one, and a nice little heart-shaped hand warmer. You just got to make sure that you use cotton fabrics and cotton threads if you're going to put anything in the microwave to heat up. But yeah, that could, or you could fill it with you could put lavender in there and have it in a drawer or hanging off a drawer. Just a nice, really quick, simple, easy thing to do whilst you're having a little tea break. So that's the first one, and I have made lots of them, and I think I'll make a few more this year. I made that this morning. I then have, I don't know about you, but I love Christmas bunting. I've made lots of bunting and gifted lots of bunting. I was at my mother-in-law's the other day. It was my father-in-law's birthday, and I noticed that Val had her bunting on the side that she hangs around her pagoda outside. She's obviously brought it in for the winter, and I must have made that 5 years ago, and she's still using it. So we all love a bit of bunting. I really like Christmas bunting, but I recently found a real quick cheat on how to make the bunting. So I have prepped one up, and this I think I'm going to hang off of my Welsh dresser where all my bits and bobs are. I like to do them in odd numbers rather than even. I don't know why, I just prefer it. So this one has 7 triangles on, and I think it just fits nicely, and as long as you make sure you leave enough to either tie it to something or prop it under something heavy for it to sit on. Lovely Christmas bunting. So the cheat, it just makes it if that's not simple enough to do, cut triangles, sew them together, put a bit of binding on the top. This is even easier. So I'll show you the different stages. You start off with a square, and this I think is 4 inches square. Then you literally inside out fold it in half so it creates a triangle. Then you've got a folded side and 2 open sides, and you sew down a hem down one of the sides. And then you have where is it? I had one ready to show you. You have this shape. So there's the folded side, there's the seamed side. You then just turn that inside out, turn that the right way around, and then where you have the seamed edge that you've just sewn, instead of it being like that, you pop it into the middle and press it down so it's that shape, and then you just tuck the top in. You tuck the top in so it looks like that. That's nicely tucked away, and then you put your binding over and you just sew it down. Now I just use a little post-it note that I cut to, what size did I cut? I just literally, to make sure that they are the same distance apart, I just use a little bit of paper that I slot between the two, and then pin the binding and then put the slot of paper in again so that the spacing is nice and even. I can't tell you how quick that is, and it just is such a sweet look. And you can do these all year round. They don't need to be Christmas themed, but you can see these ones are Christmas themed. The third thing I want to show you is my Liberty apple. Now my Liberty apple is literally 6 segments, 2 different fabrics. You can do these in all different fabrics, a tiny little bit on the top, stuffed, and then you have a lovely pin cushion. There's a little technique to kind of pull the bottom so that it's got a nice apple bottom, and the top, and I'll show you that at the end if you've not done anything like that and you're interested in having a little quick and easy demonstration to show you how to make a very cute apple. That's my second. Quick and easy. You can do that in a lunch break. You can hand stitch it all and sit and do it in front of the TV, and it just uses up some of your scraps. These scraps are from a bag that I made, Adam Saw's Totally Totes bag that I made for holiday for my beach bag, and this is my birthday dress fabric. I had a few scraps left, so it uses hardly anything, and it definitely makes it worthwhile hanging on to those lovely bits of scraps, because it's a nice quick and easy make. I guess one thing that I do every Christmas for myself and for other people is a really quick and easy little stocking filler that is just so useful. This is a twisted headband. It's in a little scrap of jersey fabric. I use this when I am taking off or putting makeup on. It just keeps your hair out of the way. I quite like the knotted front because it just sits that little bit higher off my forehead so I can get my whole face cleaned. And this is so simple. There are tons of tutorials on how to do this, but basically you have a strip of fabric round about between 20 to 22 inches long and about 8 inches deep. If you don't want it as deep as that, then just shorten the depth of your piece of fabric. You turn it right sides together and sew the long length. So if you imagine this is the long length. You then put the ends together like so, and then you move one of them so it's halfway across. This is not going to work, it's too short to show you. Let me see if I can, that's a bit longer. So you put, imagine that's your length, you've sewn it together, you then put your two ends together like that, and then you move one of them halfway across, and then you sandwich them. So the one at the front you fold to the back, and this one you fold to the front, so you've got like a little sandwich. You stitch that down, I overlock the ends, and then you pull it through and you've literally got the knot. So that's what it looks on the inside. It's not irritating when it's on, and those you can see there, actually I should have showed you on here, that's what it looks like. You just sew it all together and then you pull it open, and then your knot is on the inside, your stitching is on the inside, and it's a nice knot on the outside. I'm not showing you very well, am I? But you get what I'm talking about. That's what it looks like when it's turned the right way. So it's just a cute 5-minute, one seam right along, one seam across the short ends, done. Easy, useful, scrap busting little stocking filler. And the next thing that I'm going to show you that I definitely think is great as a little gift is my Christmas dinner crowns. I think the pattern for this came from, where did it come from? Can't remember. I'll put it here. Waves and Wild it might have been. Waves and Wild. It's a free little pattern. It's just a Christmas crown. It's that, really, that's your template. You could make it yourself. Cut on the fold. One for your front fabric, one for your lining. I used a soft fabric for the lining. You sew in your side ties. This one I've done for a little head. It's a shorter one, and I used the same fabric to make the ties. And this way you get a crown that you can tie, so no matter what size your head it fits, and you haven't got a paper one flopping down your eyes or flying off into your gravy. Just a nice little crown, and I think they are just quick and easy. These come out every Christmas. I made them a couple of years ago, but I think I might make some fresh ones for this year with maybe different fabrics, just to freshen it up a little bit, and I might actually make it in a fabric that matches the dining table. So super easy, free pattern, can't go wrong with that really, can you? And then the other thing I want to show you, I have had this fabric on my dining table. It's a big long length of fabric, and I have never really sewn anything. I've never made the ends bound or anything. I just put it over the table. I quite like the shabby chic look. That's the ends, and it's really useful when you are on your 3rd or 4th Christmas dinner and you just need another tablecloth. But this has seen better days, and it has gravy stains that I can't get out. But actually it's a massive length of fabric and I don't want to waste it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut a length of this, I'm going to quilt it, and put a plain backing on it, and I'm going to use it as a table runner. Again, I think there are so many great pattern on YouTube that can show you how to make a little quilted table runner, and I think I'd like to make some matching placemats to go with it. So again, really simple straight line sewing that you can kind of transform a bit of fabric that's going to look really nice on your table. I think that's a really nice thing to gift to someone else as well. It's nice on a, you know, it can be put on a Welsh dresser. It can make a really small one where your someone's Christmas ornaments could sit on a windowsill. I love a bit of quilted fabric, and I think at Christmas, what other time of year can you think of where it's just acceptable to have lots of little goodies like that around the house? I think that would make a really nice gift. I think what I usually do at Christmas is the easy things that are actually easier than this crafting stuff is to make little sweatshirts. Or this year I think I'm going to do something different. I think everyone's got a favourite hoodie or sweatshirt that's either got a little hole in it or a stain on it. I've been working on my, I'll show you. I have been working on my old work hoodie because it's just so soft, comfortable. I love it, but it had this great big project logo on, and I've started to do some, I cut out a big area that had the logo on, and I placed some fabric on the back, sewed it down, and I've started to put some designs on the front, and I'm going to do lots of different types of hand stitching over it, and I'm going to add another star, maybe up here a tiny little star in maybe the cream colour, so it kind of brings it all together. I was kind of showing this to someone the other day, and they were like, I've got a hoodie that I can't wear out because I've got a great big stain on that I can't get out. Would you do something with it? Now, it's not always about something new, is it? I think to kind of help rescue someone's favourite hoodie by just switching it up a little bit and adding some fun to it, that would be a really nice gift for someone to say, give me your old hoodie and let me do something with it. So I am going to play around and continue with my hoodie rescue. So if you've got friends or relatives who could do with rescuing their favourite hoodies being rescued, or sweatshirts, you know, that could be a great thing to offer them as a little Christmas gift. And it looks completely different to what it did originally, but it's saving a hoodie and making it wearable and making it more individual. And whilst it's not looking its best at the moment, it's not finished, I've started the process, and I think by the time I finished with this, it will be really lovely. So that's another idea that you could do. I will now show you my Liberty apple. I think I'm going to do a set of them as Christmas baubles because I saw some at Liberty's when I went there and they just looked adorable. So I'm going to make some Liberty baubles. They also had some stars and hung them off the tree. I found it really easy to do the stars. All I did literally was just cut out what I thought looked like a star. I then ironed this so it was nice and flat, put it on the fabric, traced around it, you know, You can just make all kinds of things if you've got your creative head on and have your scraps at hand. Often looking through the scraps is the thing that kind of creates the inspiration, and just have a little bit of fun, whether it's a tote bag, saving a hoodie, making a nice pin cushion for a sewing friend. You can just have a little bit of fun. I'm going to show you how I made this one now, and I will see you really soon. So I have a little template, and it is 16 centimeters long and it's 5.5 centimeters wide, and I literally, you just can draw a line for your 16 centimeters, mark the middle area with your 5.5, which is the widest part, and then just create a curve. So you can see my curve is slightly wider on this end and narrower this end, because I think then when you create the apple shape, it's a bit more bulbous at the top, at the bottom than it is at the top. But really, you just give it a go. It'll be apple shaped if you kind of do something roughly like that. And then that gives me 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, 1/4 of an inch, whatever you want to do to create an apple this size, which I think is a fairly decent size. So I am going to start. I have 3 pieces. I'm just using like a fat quarter with bits left over. I've got 3 in this colourway. I've got the same fabric in this colourway. So I'm going to alternate them. You can use 3 different colours. You can use 6 different pieces of fabric. It's up to you. But I'm going to do 3 of each, and I'm going to alternate. So I'm going to put them right sides together, and I'm literally going to sew from one end to the other and see where we go. So there's my first line. I'm not really fussed about being really accurate with this seam. I think that might be slightly, I think it's about 3/8 of an inch. So you can see you're now creating a bit of a curved shape. So now next to the cream coloured one, I want another grey one. So I'm going to just pick that out. I'm going to make sure that my hearts are all going in the right direction. I'm going to go right sides together, and I'm going to sew this one. So I've got my 3 pieces joined together. I'm going to do the same with the other 3 pieces, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so I have my 2 halves with the 3 pieces each, and do it that way so they don't end up with hearts going in opposite directions. What I'm going to do now, you can, if you want to, press your seams down. I'm not going to bother, it's going to get stuffed, not it. So if you just fold one into the other with the right sides together, then you can literally just sew down that full seam on one side, take it to the other side, and leave yourself a nice gap in the middle so that you can stuff it. So sew from the top to about here, leave a nice gap, and then sew the bottom, and then we'll see where we get to next. Okay, so all my pieces are sewn together, and you can see I've left a bit of a gap. And don't forget to backstitch. Don't worry too much if you kind of catch the ends in. It's not a big deal. Even if you've got a little gap there when you finish, don't worry about it. You can always stitch that up afterwards. But that's what we end up with, is the 6 pieces joined together, and then we're going to turn that in. So I've just been and grabbed my filling. Now there's different things you can use. You can buy the filling in bags. I found the cheapest and easiest way to do it was to use a pillow. So I bought these pillows from IKEA. I think they were £4. It was actually, I needed some extra pillows when we were having guests, and they're just rubbish in terms of, you can see, no, not very useful. So it was handy to put as a bottom pillow on the spare bed, but actually it's not very good. I didn't like it. So I literally just cut a bit of the seam, and I use this to stuff things. And I've already used it quite a bit, but if I pull some out, you can see it's already in lots of tiny bits. So it's actually perfect for this kind of project where you just want to stuff something, and I'm literally, that's all I'm going to do is just keep pushing some of these bits of filling into my little apple until it's as firm as I want it to be. And that might take me a little time, and I might have to do it in my lunch break because I'm going to have to log on to work in a minute. So I'm going to go and grab myself a coffee. I'm going to hopefully finish stuffing this at lunchtime, and then I'll come back to you and show you how I finish off my apple. So back in a sec. Okay, so I have put my stuffing inside. You can see it's not an apple shape. What I have is the little gap here. It's stuffed but not overstuffed. I have a needle and thread, and I'm going to ladder stitch this area closed, and then we need to put a stitch from top to bottom and squeeze it down to get that lovely apple shape. I'm going to do that offline because my hands are freezing. I've just been up to the house. I've been outside for like less than a minute and my hands are so cold. So I'm going to ladder stitch this up, and then I'll show you how I do the next bit. All right. Okay, so I have warmed up ever so slightly. You can see here my ladder stitches, and I think you'll be able to see I've just used that kind of seam line to make sure my stitches are in just on that edge of the seam line, and that I've stitched them roughly across, and then I literally just pull that through. Try not to break the thread. I've just pulled that through and it's closed the seam. So I did that in the black thread so I could show you and you could see how I close that up. And then I think a little bit of wiggling and squiggling with the filling on the inside. So I'm going to knot, I'm not actually going to knot that off. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go back in that seam and I'm going to come out at the top. So if I do that now, and this is obviously just a little tester one to show you, I'm just going to come out at the top and pull that ever so slightly, but not over polished because I don't want the shaping to go a little bit wonky there. But you can see, just close your seam. Now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go through the top, the centre, and then I'm going to squish it down and push it through till it comes out the bottom. Now I'm okay doing it with this size needle because I've done it a couple of times before. You might want to use a longer needle, whatever suits you best. You might want to kind of finish the side seam off and then use maybe a stronger thread. It's up to you, but I'm just going to use this and I'm going to push it in where all of those segments line up, and then I'm going to hold the end of my needle and I'm going to squish this down so I can kind of guide the needle to come up through the other side. It's a bit fiddly. A longer needle would be better, to be fair. Where are you? There it is. Can you see the needle? It's just pulling it through. So now I'm starting to create a bit of a shape on the bottom because I'm just pulling it through, and I'm going to hold the bottom whilst it's kind of tucked in, and I'm going to pass it back through the top so I get that seam kind of pushed in from the top, and I'm going to take it back down to the bottom. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to push it through until I feel it coming through the other side. Oh, can feel it there. That's coming in on the wonk. I need it to go directly to the bottom of the shaping where the segments all meet. I'm just trying to guide it through with my fingers. You definitely will find this easier if you use a bigger needle. So that, oh, ouch, stabbed myself. There it is. So I'm just going to pull it through there. Grab the end of that, push it from the bottom. I'm pushing it in from the bottom. I'm trying to grab it at the top. Right, I've got it. There it is. I'm going to pull it through. You can see I'm ever so slightly off centre. So it's coming there. So I'm just going to take it through there. Actually, I'm going to pull it tight. I'm going to pull it tight. And I'm going to hold, oh, actually it's fine. Look, you can't see where. So I'm going to hold it there, and then I'm going to tie it and knot it. It's quite fiddly, but it's not too difficult. So I'm going to try and show you. I'm going to go in, I'm going to just catch a little bit of the fabric there. I'm just going to push it through, keep it nice and tight. And then I'm going to bring the needle back out. This is not easy to show. Now bring the needle back out, keep it nice and tight. And then I am going to just do that a couple of times so that it's secure and it doesn't bounce back into its original shape. So I'm literally just going to go in and capture it again in there. Like that. There it is. Pull it back through. And that, I think, will hold it. You can see I've got my apple shape. And I'll do that one more time. I'll go back in and come back out, just to make sure it's nice and secure, and then I'm going to knot it off. There it is. And then I'm literally going to pass it through and just let it come out at the side. There it is. I'm going to pull it out there at the side, and then I'm going to use my snips. I'm going to just squidge that back and pull it tight, and then snip it off, and then it should disappear into the fabric. And there we have the apple shape. It's not as neat as the first one because I'm kind of trying to demonstrate it and use the camera whilst I'm doing it, but you can see you've got a nice apple bottom and you've got a nice apple top, and you've got a nice apple shape. There you have it. And then I have a tiny little template. I have a tiny little template for a leaf. I'm just going to draw around that on any old scrap of fabric that's kind of a green colour, so that it creates, I'm going to fold a piece of fabric over, cut that out, so I've got 2 of these little leaf shapes. Okay, so I have made my little leaf on the top. I think what I might do is just put a tiny stitch in there. Actually, for now, it's a pincushion. I'm just going to pop a pin in there and just help that little bit of fabric to kind of settle down. I might put a little bit of steam on it, but that's a rough demonstration of the apple pincushion. But as it stands, I've got 2 very different sized apples using the same pattern piece. I think I used a 1/18 of an inch seam allowance on this, and I used 3/8 of an inch on that one, and look at the difference. So you can make them as big or as small as you like. I really enjoyed making this one, a nice quick one that probably took me 20 minutes. Could look better if I took my time, but I wanted to actually use some of my lunch break to eat some lunch, so I'm going to go and make my lunch now. But that's the quick and easy pincushion.